Welcome back. We're going to continue our little series, if you will, on hunting with a camera. Beautiful day today, absolutely gorgeous. As you can see behind me, it's terrific weather. I mean, couldn't ask for better. One thing I wanted to mention is that a lot of people tend to get frustrated really quickly because they look over an area, they'll scan and look around, move around, and they don't see anything. And they get frustrated and discouraged. My advice for those would be sometimes in order to see more, you have to look less. Sounds paradoxical, I know, but what I mean by that is that sometimes your peripheral vision will pick up sudden movements that your eyes would not normally pick up on if you're just scanning an area around. Focus your attention for 20, even 30 seconds or so, just in one certain area. Just kind of relax, concentrate, and your eyes will pick up sudden movements that appear a little bit more unusual than just simply a branch blowing in the breeze. You may pick up that possum walking, across a rock that normally blends in pretty good and you normally wouldn't see it. But if you're taking your time, you'll catch those sudden, subtle movements. And that sometimes is the way you get your best shots, is by just simply allowing nature to present itself to you rather than you trying to find it. One of the perfect examples that I was talking about was, looking less and seeing more. A great place to do that is in an open field like here. Many times, just by looking in one certain area, you'll see all kinds of bird activity, red-winged blackbirds, and a lot of birds that love to hang out in the open brush like this. So it's a great place for bird photography, but you have to kind of sometimes just look in one area and let your peripheral vision catch the movement. If you happen to be around water sources, one of the key signs to watch for of something good to take a photograph of is trees that have been felled by beavers. They're pretty easy to recognize. They tend to get all chewed up just like that. Looks like somebody took a hatchet to it, but that's definitely a beaver. And if you'll sit tight long enough and be patient enough, you'll actually get to see the beaver and get some good shots. Now when you're up and moving, walking to another location and stuff, you want to try and walk as quietly as possible. Try not to make like sudden movements, just nice and easy, slowly. Watch where you're stepping. You don't want to step on twigs if you can help it that are constantly crackling and snapping. I mean, the last thing you want when you're trying to find some good subjects for taking photos of is to sound like a herd of elephants running through a potato chip factory. You want to keep it as quiet as possible. Try to avoid any kind of talking if you are with somebody else, and with any luck, you should find something. Alright, now because we've been following the steps that I've been outlining here, I wanted to show you that we actually found a sign of some kind of activity in our area here. We found an elusive shotgun shell. That means some human activity has occurred at this very spot, unknown how long ago it was, and has absolutely no bearing on our photography, but it's something. And you may have heard in a lot of my clips, you hear a lot of birds singing in the background and chirping away, and that's a good thing. A good rule of thumb, and I don't know if this is like official somewhere, but in my own experience, a good rule of thumb I have found is that if the birds are singing around you, then it's probably safe for you to as well. If the birds stop singing and it gets deathly quiet, then you'll want to remain quiet yourself, because it usually means that there is something in the area, whether it's a fox or a deer or a bear or something. Oftentimes you'll see like a ton of birds take off from a tree or a field, and that usually means that there is something walking around in that area that the birds detected, and so they will be one of your first indicators that there's something in the area. So as well as keeping your eyes peeled, for signs of animals, you'll also want to be listening quite a bit, which is why it's a good idea not to be talking a whole lot when you're walking around, moving around. Listen up and let nature itself tell you when you are close to something worth photographing. Keep in mind that a lot of the tips that I'm offering you are geared towards the idea of you being able to get as close as possible to wildlife without them knowing you're there. That way you can get that perfect shot. If, however, you happen to be out for just a pleasure hike and you also happen to be in bear territory, then by all means, don't worry about trying to keep quiet. Actually, making noise is a good thing. Believe it or not, and I know it's debatable, but bears are more afraid of you than you are of them for the most part. So if they hear you coming from a distance, that chances are they will turn around and go another direction without you even knowing they were there, other than seeing maybe tracks. And that's a good thing. So if you're trying to take photos of wildlife, then be as quiet as possible, move slowly, stay out of the middle of fields. And if you are just out on a pleasure hike where there's bears around, then by all means, I don't care if you sound like a dump truck going through a nitroglycerin plant, you want to make some noise. Well, I hope you've enjoyed some of the tips that I've given to help you hopefully get better photos. Just to kind of summarize briefly, when you're trying to catch photos, you want to be as quiet as possible. Try to avoid sudden movements, and if you can nestle down somewhere for a little bit, like at the edge of a field, sit tight, have patience, and wait for the wildlife. They will show up. Sometimes it pays to just sit and relax, let your eyes rest a little bit without darting around too much, and your peripheral vision will catch subjects that are moving, like chipmunks darting over rocks and birds flying around. So we hope you've enjoyed. We'll look at making another video soon. If you happen to like this video, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and we'll keep trying to produce more for you. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.